Loans don't ruin lives. Confusion does. Most people don't feel stressed because of money itself. They feel stressed because they don't feel in control. A loan is not just numbers on a screen. It sits in your head. It shows up when you wake up. It follows you through the day. It whispers at night when everything is quiet. And slowly, without noticing, it changes how you think about yourself. Some people use loans and grow stronger. Others use the same loans and feel stuck for years. The difference is not luck. The difference is how they think and how they act every single day. This video is not here to scare you or impress you with complex talk. It is here to speak honestly about real life, about why borrowed money feels heavy, about why avoiding it never really works, and about how simple changes can turn pressure into calm. If you have ever delayed checking a message from the bank, felt your chest tighten before a payment date, or wondered why money feels harder than it should, you are not alone. Stay with me, because when you understand how to make loans work in your favor, you stop feeling chased by money and start feeling in charge of your life again. Chapter 1. Recognize how loans affect your life and mindset daily. Most people don't realize how much a loan can shape their life. They think it's just a number on paper. Something to pay off, something to pay off, something temporary. But in reality, every loan you take, every financial obligation you carry, is silently influencing the way you think, the decisions you make, and the energy you bring into every single day. Loans are not neutral. They are either working for you or quietly working against you. And the first step to making them work in your favor is understanding exactly how they affect your life and your mindset. When you wake up in the morning, your brain is already tuned into priority. If you have loans hanging over your head, whether it's credit cards, personal loans, or student debt, that little voice in your head is whispering constantly. It might not even be conscious, but it's there. It tells you things like, I can't afford this, or I have too much to handle, or even worse, it makes you hesitate before taking opportunities because you feel trapped. This is the subtle, often overlooked effect of a loan on your mindset. It's shaping your thoughts, your choices, and your confidence without you even realizing it. The emotional weight of a loan is enormous. People underestimate how stress about money creeps into every corner of their life. It shows up in sleepless nights. It shows up in small arguments. It shows up when you start comparing yourself to others and feeling like you're behind. It's hard to feel free when part of your life is pledged to someone else. And the truth is, if you are not fully aware of this influence, it will dictate your actions for you. You'll start making decisions not based on what you want to achieve, but on fear of what could go wrong. And fear is a terrible guide. The very first thing to do is to see the loan for what it really is. It is not a punishment. It is not the enemy. It is a tool, a lever, a responsibility that comes with potential if handled correctly. When people recognize that, they begin to step into control. They start noticing how each payment, each interest rate, each term, each commitment is affecting not just their bank account but their emotional state, their sense of possibility, and the energy they bring into every interaction. And this awareness is powerful because once you are conscious of it, you can make choices instead of being carried along by circumstances. Notice how your day changes when you are thinking about debt. Do you wake up with tension in your shoulders? Do you avoid opening bills? Do you catch yourself daydreaming about financial freedom, wishing it could come faster, wishing the weight could disappear? That's the emotional side of loans at work, and it is completely normal. Every human being feels the difference between someone who lets loans control their life and someone who makes loans work in their favor is simply awareness. One sees the effect and then takes action. The other sees it and does nothing. Action starts with recognition. Look at every loan you have and see how it is shaping your day, your mood, your confidence. Write it down. Track how often it comes up in your thoughts. Track how it changes the way you make decisions. If you notice you are hesitating to take a business opportunity, or turning down a chance to learn a skill, or avoiding investing in yourself because of loans, that is a signal. That is your inner self saying this needs attention, and attention is the first step toward control. You can't change what you don't see clearly. Loans affect behavior as much as they affect finances. People make choices every day based on what they owe. Even if they are not aware, they hold back from opportunities, they cut corners, they postpone dreams, and the cost is far greater than the interest rate or the monthly payment. It's the cost of the life you could have lived, the confidence you could have built, the self-respect you could have claimed. All of these things are silently being influenced by how you feel about the loans you carry. That's why mindset is more important than numbers. A positive, aware mindset transforms responsibility into opportunity. Every human reacts to pressure differently. Some people panic, some people procrastinate, some people get angry, and some people shrink back and avoid looking at the problem entirely. But the people who succeed with loans are the ones who treat the pressure as information, the payments, the balances, the deadlines. They are not shackles, they are they are signals showing where you need discipline, where you need planning, and where you need courage. When you start to see loans this way, they stop being a burden and start becoming a tool for building character, self-discipline, and financial intelligence. Loans also affect relationships. Have you noticed how money stress creeps into conversations? It changes the tone of discussions. It can make you irritable, distant, or anxious. It can make you overthink every choice and second-guess yourself. The emotional weight of loans is not just yours, it touches everyone around you. When you recognize this effect, you start to see the bigger picture. You understand why it's critical to be intentional. You begin to approach your loans, not just as financial obligations, but as something that shapes the quality of your life, your energy, and the way you interact with the world. The subconscious influence of loans is also something to watch. Often, people don't realize how much debt shapes their beliefs about themselves. They start telling themselves stories like, I can't get ahead, I'm not good with money, or I'll always be behind. And once you tell yourself that story, your actions begin to confirm it. Recognition is the antidote. You have to be brutally honest about how your loans affect your mindset every single day. You have to track the thoughts that creep in when you see your balance, when you check your statements, or when you think about the future. That honesty gives you the clarity to make decisions that work for you instead of against you. Once recognition is in place, it's possible to harness loans for growth. If you understand how a loan is affecting your daily life and mindset, you can start to change the narrative. You can take control. You can organize your payments so that they don't dictate your energy. You can schedule your obligations so that they feel manageable. You can structure your mindset so that every payment becomes a choice, a step toward freedom, rather than a chain that weighs you down. Awareness turns pressure into power, and power always begins with knowing the truth. This process also builds confidence. Each day you pay attention to how loans are affecting your thoughts and your behavior. You take a small step toward control. You start noticing patterns. You start seeing opportunities to optimize your payments, negotiate better terms, or allocate your resources more wisely. And every insight, every small action reinforces the idea that you are in charge. The loans are not in charge. The statements, the deadlines, the interest rates, they exist, yes, but they are part of a system that you can master, and mastery begins with seeing clearly. Emotional awareness is also critical. People often ignore the feelings that arise from financial obligations. They stuff them down. They pretend everything is fine, but those emotions are signals. Stress is telling you to pay attention. Anxiety is telling you to plan. Frustration is telling you to negotiate or act differently. When you recognize the emotional impact of your loans on a daily basis, you gain insight into your behavior, your energy, and your focus. You become able to step back and ask, how can I make this work for me rather than against me? Loans also shape your daily decisions in subtle ways. You may avoid learning new skills because you feel too busy with obligations. You may skip networking opportunities. because you think you can't afford it. You may even hesitate to take risks that could grow your income, because you feel trapped. Recognizing this is powerful. Once you see the influence, you can intentionally create boundaries that protect your mindset. You can schedule moments of clarity. You can decide that your daily energy is yours to manage, not dictated by a piece of paper, a lender, or a balance on a screen. The final piece is self-respect. Recognizing how loans affect your life is about claiming ownership. It is about saying, I will not allow my financial obligations to shape my confidence, my decisions, or my life in secret. Every time you pay attention, every time you notice the emotional or mental pull of debt, you reclaim a piece of your power. You remind yourself that responsibility is not punishment, it is leverage, it is opportunity. And every person who understands this has the ability to turn loans into tools for personal growth, discipline, and eventual freedom. Loans will always have an impact. They are not neutral, and they are not just numbers. The difference between someone who struggles and someone who thrives is simple: recognition, awareness, conscious attention to the way loans affect daily life and mindset. Once you see clearly, you can organize, plan, prioritize, and act intentionally. You can turn fear into clarity, anxiety into focus, and obligation into opportunity. You can reclaim the energy that would otherwise be drained and use it to create the life you want. Recognition is the starting point, and from there, control, freedom, and growth are inevitable. Chapter 2. Control small repayments to build confidence and financial freedom. Most people look at debt as one giant mountain, something impossible to manage, something that controls them rather than the other way around. They see the total amount owed and immediately feel overwhelmed, frozen, unsure of where to start. That feeling of helplessness can paralyze your actions and your mindset. But the truth is, control begins in the small steps. Real power is found when you focus on what you can handle today, in this moment, with the resources you have at hand. When you break a big loan into manageable repayments, you reclaim authority over your life and your money. The key is not to fight the entire debt at once. It's not about grand gestures or dramatic moves. It's about consistent, deliberate action that builds momentum. Every repayment you make, no matter how small, is more than a payment toward the balance. It is a vote of confidence in yourself. Each time you take responsibility for a portion of your debt, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of managing your finances, that you are reliable, that you can create structure in your life. Small wins accumulate into something far greater than the sum of their parts. There is an incredible psychological effect in controlling even a small part of a loan. When you commit to paying a small, consistent amount, you shift from being reactive to proactive. You move from a state of fear to a state of action. Fear shrinks when you see evidence that you can handle responsibility. Doubt loses its grip when you prove to yourself daily that you are capable of managing your obligations. Confidence begins to grow silently, almost imperceptibly, but steadily. And once confidence grows, it fuels more action, which fuels more freedom, creating a virtuous cycle that changes your entire relationship with money. The moment you decide to tackle loans through small repayments, you begin to notice patterns in your life. You become aware of spending habits, lifestyle choices, and decisions that were previously invisible. Awareness is the first tool of control. It allows you to see where money leaks away, where unnecessary fees arise, and where small adjustments can have a tremendous impact. Paying attention to these small details is not tedious. It is empowering. It shows you that you are capable of guiding your life rather than being guided by circumstances. Small repayments also teach discipline. Discipline is the backbone of freedom. Many people think freedom comes from having money in abundance, but real freedom comes from knowing how to control it. Every time you make a repayment, you exercise self-control. You resist the temptation to spend impulsively. You honor commitments you made to yourself. You build habits that extend beyond finances. That same discipline will show up in other areas of your life, your health, your work, your relationships, and it all starts with the small, consistent step of controlling your repayment. Another aspect of controlling small repayments is the sense of predictability it brings. When you know exactly what you are paying, and when you are paying it, your mind relaxes. Anxiety diminishes because the unknown shrinks. Uncertainty is one of the greatest stresses humans face, and loans create a constant hum of uncertainty in your life if left unmanaged. But structured repayments eliminate much of that stress. They transform debt from a vague, looming threat into a series of intentional, manageable actions that you can plan around. That clarity alone improves your daily life significantly. This approach also allows you to create positive reinforcement. Each repayment becomes a signal to your mind that you are making progress. You are not just decreasing numbers on a page. You are creating a pattern of success that your brain recognizes. Success, even in small doses, produces chemical responses in the body that encourage you to continue. Confidence grows, not from theory, but from action. The act of paying a small amount regularly builds self-esteem. It convinces you that you are capable of creating financial stability, one step at a time. Paying small amounts also opens opportunities to think strategically. When you focus on manageable repayments, you can plan additional financial moves more clearly. You can see where extra funds might go. You can start identifying ways to save more, invest wisely, or allocate resources toward personal growth. It allows you to step out of the mindset of scarcity and move into a mindset of opportunity. You begin to ask not how will I survive, but how can I make this work for me? This shift in perspective is subtle but transformative. An important component of this strategy is consistency. Paying a small amount sporadically does not build confidence or freedom. The power is in the rhythm, the repetition, the commitment. Every day, every week, or every month, you reaffirm your control. That repetition is what trains your mind to see you as someone responsible, capable, and deliberate. The more consistent you are, the more automatic the behavior becomes. Small, repeated actions become habits. Habits shape character, and character shapes destiny. In this case, the destiny is financial empowerment. It is also essential to track your repayments clearly. Record what you pay and when. Write it down, use an app or mark a calendar. Visibility creates accountability. It shows progress in a tangible form. Many people underestimate the power of seeing movement in the right direction. Progress, even tiny, motivates. It provides reassurance that the effort is producing results. Watching your balance slowly decline transforms a stressful situation into one that is actionable and manageable. The brain responds to visible progress, reinforcing your sense of control and encouraging continued effort. Small repayments also protect your mental energy. When you ignore debt, it grows in the mind faster than in reality. Anxiety feeds on inaction. Thoughts of owing money amplify, take on distorted proportions, and interfere with decision-making. But when you actively control your repayments, you reduce mental clutter. You stop carrying the invisible weight. Your mind is free to focus on opportunities, creativity, and solutions. Freedom is not just financial, it is emotional and mental. Paying attention to small steps is not just about numbers, it's about reclaiming energy for life. This approach also instills patience. Many people want immediate relief, a quick fix, or instant freedom. But true financial independence is built gradually. Small repayments teach the value of persistence. They remind you that freedom is earned over time, through careful, intentional action. Each payment reinforces the principle that success is cumulative. Every small effort, every controlled step adds up, and while it may seem insignificant day to day, over months and years, the impact is enormous. This is the difference between feeling trapped in debt and feeling in command of your life. Another benefit of controlling small repayments is flexibility. When you know exactly what you owe and how much you can manage at a time, you gain the ability to adjust to life's fluctuations. Emergencies happen. Income changes. Opportunities arise. By focusing on manageable amounts, you maintain the capacity to redirect resources intelligently, without losing control. You are not caught off guard by circumstances. You are prepared. You are strategic. You are empowered. And this flexibility is a form of freedom that most people never experience, because they try to tackle everything at once or ignore the problem entirely. Small repayments also shift your focus from fear to ownership. Fear paralyzes. Ownership empowers. When you focus on controlling what you can manage now, you stop worrying about what you cannot. You begin to approach debt as something you are actively shaping, rather than something shaping you. This mental shift is powerful. It changes your identity. You start to see yourself as capable, responsible, and disciplined. You begin to carry yourself differently, act differently, and make decisions that align with your new reality. Confidence grows, not because circumstances changed, but because your approach did. The ripple effects of controlling small repayments extend beyond finances. Discipline, planning, and awareness spill over into work, relationships, and personal growth. The confidence you build in managing money strengthens the confidence you bring to challenges in life. Your ability to plan, prioritize, and act intentionally improves. Your mindset shifts from reactive to proactive. You begin to see problems as solvable and opportunities as reachable. That is the real power. Managing small repayments consistently. It is not just about money. It is about building a life that is structured, intentional, and empowered. It is also important to remember that small repayments are not about limitation. They are about strategy. They are about managing energy, resources, and focus effectively. You do not need to make grand gestures to prove responsibility. You only need to show up consistently, act deliberately, and pay attention to the impact of each action. Over time, those small repayments will grow in effect. They will reduce debt faster than expected, create confidence, and open doors that were previously hidden. What seems small today is monumental in shaping the person you become tomorrow. Ultimately, controlling small repayments is a practice in mastery. It is a lesson in patience, discipline, awareness, and self-respect. It teaches you how to take control over one aspect of life and gradually expand that control into all areas. It reminds you that freedom is earned, step by step, not handed over in a single moment. Every small repayment is a victory, a declaration that you are capable, that you are responsible, and that you can shape your financial reality. Over time, these steps compound, producing results far greater than the sum of their parts. Small repayments are also a tool for building trust in yourself. When you see that you can commit to a plan and follow through, you reinforce the belief that you are reliable. That belief grows stronger each month. You begin to trust your own judgment and your ability to handle more significant challenges. Confidence and freedom are deeply intertwined. By controlling small repayments, you are literally training yourself to believe that you can manage more, handle more, and eventually achieve the financial independence you desire. Confidence is a skill, freedom is a practice. Both are developed one step at a time. In conclusion, focusing on small repayments transforms debt from a burden into a bridge.
It turns anxiety into clarity, fear into confidence, and inaction into progress. Each payment is a statement that you are responsible, disciplined, and capable. You reclaim your time, energy, and focus. You build momentum, structure, and a mindset that welcomes growth. Small repayments are not insignificant. They are the foundation for freedom. They are the proof that control is possible. They are the evidence that consistent action, awareness, and responsibility can create lasting change in your life.
Chapter 3. Prioritize debt that steals peace and focus first. Debt is not just a number. It is not just a financial obligation that exists on paper or in your bank account. Debt has a way of infiltrating your mind, influencing your emotions, and quietly shaping your daily life. Some debts are manageable and even strategic, but others act like anchors, pulling down your peace, your focus, and your energy. The debts that steal your mental clarity are the ones that demand immediate attention. They are the ones that interfere with your decisions, cloud your judgment, and distract you from pursuing your goals. Learning to identify and prioritize these debts is one of the most powerful steps you can take toward financial control and personal freedom. The first step is awareness. You must see clearly which debts are truly affecting your emotional and mental state. Look at your bills, your credit obligations, your loans, and ask yourself an honest question. Which of these obligations causes the most anxiety when I think about them? Which ones make me wake up in the middle of the night worrying? Which ones prevent me from concentrating fully at work or being present with the people I care about? The answers reveal the debts that demand your attention first. This is not a process of avoidance. It is a process of strategic focus. Not all debts are equal, and their impact is not just financial. A high-interest credit card might not be the largest balance you owe, but if it consumes your thoughts constantly, it is more urgent than a larger loan that sits quietly in the background. Debt that steals your peace costs more than money. It costs clarity, confidence, and energy. When your mind is preoccupied, your productivity drops, your focus wavers, and your capacity for opportunity shrinks. Prioritizing this type of debt first allows you to reclaim the mental space needed to make intelligent decisions and to take intentional actions in all areas of life. Once you identify which debts are robbing your peace, the next step is creating a strategy. Ignoring them or making random payments is not enough. A deliberate plan is necessary. Break the debt into manageable portions, but focus on the ones that carry the heaviest emotional weight first. The goal is not to eliminate all debt at once. The goal is to reduce the stress and regain control over your life. Every payment you make toward these critical debts is a step toward mental clarity and renewed focus. You are not just moving numbers on a page, you are actively reclaiming your freedom. The emotional effect of prioritizing these debts is immediate. As you start to see balances decrease, anxiety diminishes, thoughts of worry lose intensity. The mental fog that interferes with decision-making begins to lift. When you prioritize what truly disrupts your peace, you begin to experience a sense of relief that motivates continued action. Each repayment becomes proof that you are in control, proof that you can manage your obligations, and proof that you are capable of creating order in your life. The small victories in this area build momentum that carries over into all other aspects of personal growth. Prioritization is also about efficiency. Your energy and focus are finite resources. If you scatter them across every debt equally, you dilute their effectiveness. The debts that steal your peace require disproportionate attention because of their impact on your mental state. When you address these first, you free up cognitive and emotional bandwidth. Suddenly, tackling the remaining obligations becomes simpler because your mind is no longer consumed by anxiety. Focus creates results. Concentrating your efforts on what matters most is a principle that applies not only to money, but to every pursuit in life. Clarity begins with focus. It is also important to recognize the habits that create or exacerbate these high-stress debts. Reflect on the decisions that led to this situation. Awareness of patterns is essential because it allows you to avoid repeating the same mistake. Perhaps certain spending habits, impulsive choices, or unplanned purchases contributed to the pressure. Identifying these behaviors is not about blame. It is about understanding. Once you understand the root causes, you can take proactive steps to adjust your behavior, prevent future stress, and ensure that the debt you carry in the future serves your goals rather than undermines them. Focusing on the debts that disrupt peace also strengthens self-discipline. When your mind is cluttered, your actions are reactive. You make decisions out of fear or avoidance. But when you deliberately confront the debts that affect your peace first, you are training yourself to act intentionally. You are proving to yourself that challenges can be addressed systematically and effectively. This builds a sense of mastery over not just money, but over your life. Confidence grows because every choice you make is guided by purpose rather than panic, by control rather than chaos. There is also a powerful emotional element at play. Debt that steals peace often triggers feelings of guilt, shame, or inadequacy. These feelings can be paralyzing if left unchecked. Prioritizing these debts allows you to address the source of these emotions directly. You begin to replace guilt with action, shame with responsibility, and worry with measurable progress. Each repayment is more than a financial step. It is an emotional victory. It is proof that you are capable, that you are responsible, and that you can navigate challenges effectively. Emotional freedom often precedes financial freedom. Prioritizing also requires honesty. Avoiding difficult truths only prolongs stress. It is necessary to look at your debts without denial, to see clearly which ones are affecting your daily life the most. Avoiding this step allows anxiety to grow unchecked, creating a cycle of fear and inaction. Honest assessment empowers action. It allows you to create a realistic plan, to commit to manageable steps, and to gain control over what once felt overwhelming. Taking ownership of the situation transforms fear into empowerment. Another critical component is incremental progress. You do not need to eliminate every high-stress debt overnight. Even small reductions create meaningful psychological shift. When you pay down the debts that disturb your focus first, your mind experiences relief. You begin to think more clearly, plan more effectively, and act with confidence. Over time, these incremental successes accumulate, leading to profound transformation. The key is consistency and intention, not speed. Even a small repayment that reduces mental stress is more valuable than a large repayment that leaves your peace untouched. Prioritization also changes how you view money itself. When you focus on peace-disrupting debts first, money is no longer just a transactional resource. It becomes a tool for freedom, a means to reclaim control, and a way to align your life with your values. Each payment is an investment in mental clarity, emotional stability, and the ability to act decisively. Money managed this way empowers rather than limits. You start to understand that financial decisions are not just about numbers. They are about your quality of life, your focus, and your capacity to thrive. This strategy also reduces distraction. Debt that occupies your thoughts constantly prevents creativity, problem solving, and opportunity recognition. By addressing these debts first, you clear mental space. You can think strategically, pursue goals more effectively, and approach challenges with confidence. Focus is a resource that is often underestimated, yet it is one of the most valuable assets in achieving personal and financial success. Prioritizing debt that steals focus restores this resource, enabling more intentional action and better decision-making. Prioritization also fosters accountability. When you commit to paying off the debts that affect your peace first, you are taking ownership of both your financial and emotional life. This accountability is empowering. It reminds you that you are responsible for the energy you bring into each day,
for the clarity with which you approach challenges, and for the quality of decisions you make. Accountability transforms fear into action, hesitation into progress, and distraction into focus. It creates a foundation for personal growth that extends far beyond finances. Addressing high-stress debts first also reinforces the principle of value. You begin to recognize that your time, energy, and attention are finite, and that they should be allocated wisely. By prioritizing obligations that interfere with your well-being, you are investing in what matters most. This mindset extends to other areas of life. You start evaluating decisions based on their impact on your peace and focus. You learn to protect your energy, make thoughtful choices, and approach challenges with intentionality. The principle of prioritization becomes a guide for life itself. The process of prioritization also reveals resilience. Confronting the debts that disrupt your peace is not always easy. It requires honesty, courage, and commitment. But each step you take strengthens your ability to face challenges, manage responsibilities, and navigate uncertainty. This resilience is a critical aspect. It not only helps you handle financial obligations, but also equips you to approach personal and professional challenges with composure and determination. Prioritizing peace-stealing debts builds strength in both mind and character. Prioritizing these debts also enables long-term planning. Once your most disruptive obligations are under control, you can think strategically about future financial moves. You gain clarity about what is manageable, what is achievable, and what steps will lead to stability and growth. This approach transforms short-term actions into long-term benefit. The focus is no longer on surviving or reacting. It is on creating structure, opportunity, and progress that compounds over time. Prioritization is the bridge between immediate relief and lasting financial empowerment. Finally, prioritizing debt that steals peace is about reclaiming your life. It is about taking back control over your thoughts, your energy, and your focus. It is about proving to yourself that no external obligation has the power to dictate your emotions or limit your potential. Each payment, each action, each step taken toward resolving these debts is a statement of agency and self-mastery. Freedom begins with clarity, and clarity begins with prioritization. By addressing what disrupts peace first, you lay the foundation for a life that is intentional, focused, and empowered.
Chapter 4. Use borrowed money only for opportunities that truly matter. Borrowed money is a tool, but like any tool, its power depends entirely on how you use it. Too many people treat borrowing as a casual convenience. They take money without considering whether it will add value to their life or their future. They treat loans as a temporary fix for temporary wants. This approach creates stress, regret, and unnecessary burdens that affect not only finances, but also emotional and mental well-being. The first principle to understand is that borrowed money should only be used for opportunities that truly matter. Anything else is a distraction, a liability, and a drain on energy. An opportunity that truly matters is one that moves you closer to your goals, strengthens your future, or creates real value in your life. It is not about keeping up appearances, buying things to impress others, or satisfying short-term desires. It is about asking a clear question before borrowing: will this action improve my life in a way that lasts beyond the immediate moment? If the answer is no, the money should not be borrowed. If the answer is yes, then borrowed money becomes a powerful lever, a way to create results that would otherwise be out of reach. This principle is as much psychological as it is financial. Every time you borrow for something that does not matter, you reinforce a mindset of dependency and distraction. You train yourself to look for instant gratification rather than long-term growth. You feed anxiety because the borrowed money becomes a weight without benefit. You may even start avoiding opportunities because your focus is diverted to obligations that do not matter. On the other hand, borrowing for things that truly matter aligns your resources with your priorities. It creates a sense of purpose, clarity, and control. Before borrowing, clarity is essential. Know exactly what you hope to achieve and what the outcome will mean for your life. Define success clearly. Without this, borrowed money becomes a guessing game. You might spend it and feel temporary relief, but the consequences often follow silently, creating regret and frustration. When you define the opportunity, you also define the path. You know what actions are necessary, what risks are involved, and how this borrowing fits into your overall plan. Purposeful borrowing is intentional borrowing. It is borrowing with a vision. It is also important to measure potential returns. Borrowed money should be seen as an investment, not a lifeline. Every time you consider using debt, ask yourself, will this bring more value than it costs? Will it improve my skills, increase my income, or strengthen my position in life? Will it create long-term advantages that justify the temporary obligation? If the answer is yes, borrowing can be a strategic move. If the answer is no, it is a detour that will consume energy and limit your freedom. Borrowing without purpose often leads to regret because it interrupts the natural rhythm of life. People spend today what they haven't earned yet, and tomorrow's peace becomes compromised. Stress increases, focus diminishes, and mental energy is depleted. Every borrowed dollar used for something trivial creates an invisible tax on your future. On the other hand, every borrowed dollar used for an opportunity that matters builds confidence, capability, and momentum. The difference lies entirely in intention. Discernment is critical. Not every opportunity is worth using borrowed funds. The human brain naturally wants to act immediately, often driven by excitement or desire. This is why it is so easy to borrow impulsively. Recognizing which opportunities truly matter requires self-control and reflection. Take time to assess the real impact of your decisions. Consider how each choice aligns with long-term goals and values. Borrowing with discernment strengthens character, builds discipline, and ensures that your actions today support the life you want tomorrow. Prioritization plays a key role. Not every opportunity that seems valuable is urgent or essential. Borrowed money should be allocated to the opportunities that produce the highest return in terms of personal growth, income generation, or long-term security. Lesser opportunities can wait until resources are available naturally. By prioritizing in this way, you ensure that each borrowed dollar is working at maximum efficiency, producing results rather than simply creating temporary satisfaction. The discipline of prioritization cultivates a mindset of strategic thinking and intentional living. Borrowed money can also create confidence when used wisely. Knowing that every dollar is allocated to something that genuinely matters reduces fear and worry. You begin to see a clear path forward rather than feeling lost under the weight of obligation. Confidence grows because each decision is purposeful, each repayment is predictable, each step aligns with a larger plan. Borrowing transforms from a source of stress to a source of opportunity, a tool that empowers rather than constrains. Using borrowed money responsibly also strengthens decision-making skills. When you commit to evaluating opportunities carefully, you practice discernment and analysis. You learn to weigh risk against reward and focus on outcomes rather than impulse. This skill carries over into every aspect of life, from personal relationships to business decisions. Borrowing becomes a teacher, showing you the difference between choices that enhance your life and those that drain. The more deliberate you are, the stronger your judgment becomes, and the fewer mistakes you make. Timing is another critical factor. Borrowed money should be used when it can have the greatest impact, not at the first sign of opportunity. Impulsive borrowing often leads to wasted resources and missed potential. Strategic borrowing requires patience. It involves waiting for the right moment when the action will generate meaningful results. This sense of timing is developed through experience,
observation, and a clear understanding of your goals. Every borrowing decision becomes an exercise in foresight and self-discipline. Debt management is also essential. Even when borrowed money is used for important opportunities, repayment must be planned carefully. Responsibility and intention go hand in hand. Knowing how and when to repay ensures that the benefits of borrowing are maximized while minimizing stress. A plan reduces uncertainty and provides mental clarity. It prevents temporary relief from turning into long-term strain. Using borrowed money wisely is not just about what you spend it on. It is also about how you honor the obligation responsibly and maintain control over your financial life. Emotional awareness is another element of strategic borrowing. Money often triggers strong feelings, excitement, anxiety, fear, or desire. These emotions can cloud judgment and lead to impulsive decisions. Being aware of your emotional state when considering borrowing helps you act with clarity. Borrowed money should never be used to satisfy fleeting emotions. It should always be tied to rational evaluation, clear goals, and meaningful outcomes. Emotional intelligence in financial decisions protects your peace and ensures that opportunities, not impulses, guide your action. Every borrowed dollar has potential energy. When used for meaningful opportunities, it can produce growth, learning, income, or security. When used for trivial matters, it produces stress, distraction, and regret. This distinction cannot be overstated. People often focus on the mechanics of borrowing, interest rates, monthly payments, without considering the real cost, how it affects their life, energy, and future. Evaluating the true impact of borrowed money ensures that your actions support growth rather than create burden. Accountability reinforces this principle. Track every borrowed dollar, every purpose, and every outcome. Review decisions regularly to ensure they align with your goals. Accountability creates awareness and prevents drift into habits of unnecessary borrowing. It reinforces the idea that money is a tool, not a source of stress. Each decision becomes an opportunity to strengthen self-discipline, build confidence, and produce results. Accountability keeps borrowed money working for you rather than against you. Opportunities that truly matter often require courage. Borrowing for significant investments, whether in education, business, or skills, can feel risky. This risk is not something to avoid, but to calculate and manage. Risk is natural whenever pursuing meaningful growth. The difference between successful borrowing and harmful borrowing is intention and foresight. Borrowed money should be used to create leverage for success, not to satisfy temporary whims. Courage combined with strategy ensures that borrowing produces lasting benefit. Borrowed money used correctly also teaches patience and long-term thinking. Immediate gratification is tempting, but it rarely produces lasting results. When you commit borrowed resources to opportunities that truly matter, you embrace delayed reward. This builds resilience, persistence, and discipline. You start valuing outcomes over impulses and long-term benefit over temporary comfort. Patience becomes a strength, and borrowed money becomes a vehicle to achieve substantial and meaningful progress. Finally, the ultimate goal is freedom. Borrowing is not freedom in itself, but it can support the pursuit of freedom when applied strategically. Using borrowed money for opportunities that matter creates momentum, builds confidence, and opens doors that would otherwise remain closed. It transforms debt from a burden into a stepping stone. Each decision, each repayment, and each outcome reinforces the principle that control, intentionality, and purpose are the keys to living a life of opportunity rather than limitation. The practice of borrowing with intention strengthens every part of your life. It teaches responsibility, strategic thinking, emotional awareness, patience, and courage. It builds confidence and empowers you to take action where it matters most. Borrowed money becomes a tool for transformation rather than a source of anxiety. It reinforces the mindset that life is shaped by deliberate choices, not chance. Each borrowed dollar used with purpose compounds over time, creating results far beyond the initial investment.
Chapter 5. Watch your spending habits to avoid future regret quickly. Spending money is something everyone does, but very few do it with intention. Most people spend automatically without considering how each choice affects their future. They swipe, click, or hand over cash and only later realize the consequences. Regret is silent at first. It creeps in slowly, showing up as stress, missed opportunities, and the feeling that life is slipping by faster than it should. Watching your spending habits is not about restriction, it is about empowerment. It is about creating a life where every dollar works for you instead of against you. Understanding this is one of the most powerful ways to avoid future regret. The first step is awareness. Observe every single expense, no matter how small. People often ignore the minor costs, thinking they don't matter. A coffee here, a subscription there, a small impulse purchase seems insignificant. Yet these small decisions compound over time. They add up to hundreds, even thousands of dollars a year. Beyond the numbers, they shape your habits, your mindset, and your sense of control. When you watch closely, you begin to see patterns where money leaks, where impulses take over, and where discipline can create opportunity. Spending without awareness often leads to stress. People feel like they are living paycheck to paycheck, yet they do not always understand why. It is rarely the big items alone. It is the accumulation of small, unnecessary choices. When you begin to track spending intentionally, the fog lifts. You start to see which choices create value and which drain your energy and resources. This clarity allows you to redirect your money toward what truly matters. Watching your habits is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, everything becomes visible and decisions become intentional. One of the most important elements of watching your spending is emotional control. Many purchases are driven by feelings rather than need. Excitement, boredom, stress, or peer influence often guide decisions. Buying something in the heat of the moment may feel good temporarily, but it rarely creates long-term satisfaction. When you are conscious of these emotional triggers, you can pause and ask whether the purchase aligns with your goal. You can evaluate whether it adds lasting value or simply fills a momentary desire. Emotional awareness turns impulsive spending into deliberate choice. Tracking spending also builds accountability. Writing down or recording each expense forces honesty. You see exactly where money goes instead of guessing. This process is often uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is a sign of growth. People rarely enjoy confronting the truth about their habits, yet those who do gain clarity and control. Accountability shows patterns that are invisible until you pay attention. It shows where choices are draining potential and where small adjustments can produce meaningful results. The act of observing creates responsibility, and responsibility strengthens your confidence in managing money. Another element is prioritization. Not all spending is harmful. Some expenditures contribute to growth, opportunity, or well-being. The key is to distinguish between what is necessary, what adds value, and what is wasteful. Many people spend on things that satisfy immediate desires, but do not contribute to long-term goals. By identifying and reducing these expenses, you free resources for opportunities that matter. Prioritizing spending is a skill, a mindset, and a daily practice that reinforces intentional living. Each choice becomes a statement of what you value most. Watching spending habits also provides foresight. When you understand where money goes, you can anticipate future needs. Unexpected costs no longer catch you off guard. Savings, emergency funds, or investment opportunities become possible because you are prepared. Being proactive in financial decisions prevents regret. You avoid situations where you wish you had acted differently. By observing and adjusting spending today, you create stability and predictability for tomorrow. Foresight transforms financial stress into strategic planning. Discipline grows naturally from this practice. When every purchase is deliberate, you cultivate patience and self-control. You learn to differentiate between wants and needs. You resist impulses that lead to regret. Discipline strengthens your decision-making beyond finances. It reinforces your ability to delay gratification, prioritize wisely, and invest in what truly matters. Each controlled choice builds confidence. Every time you resist unnecessary spending, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of managing resources effectively. This confidence becomes a foundation for freedom. Watching your spending also protects your mental energy. Financial decisions affect more than your bank account. They influence your mood, your focus, and your relationships. Uncontrolled spending leads to guilt, tension, and anxiety. These feelings spill into daily life, affecting work, interactions, and personal growth. By observing habits closely and acting intentionally, you remove hidden stresses. You protect your emotional energy and create space for clarity, creativity, and purposeful action. Financial mindfulness becomes mental clarity. Patterns of regret often emerge in hindsight. People look back and see money wasted on impulsive purchases, subscriptions they never use, or luxuries that added no value. Watching spending habits allows you to prevent these regrets before they occur. It is proactive, not reactive. Prevention is far more powerful than recovery. Each day you observe your choices, you reduce future regret and build a sense of accomplishment. You can see your actions as investments in your peace of mind and long-term security. Another benefit is perspective. Observing your spending teaches you about your priority. What you spend money on reflects what you value. It reveals unconscious patterns in lifestyle, habits, and decision-making. Awareness of these patterns allows you to align your spending with your goals and principles. You become more intentional, making choices that support growth rather than distraction. This alignment strengthens character and builds a life where resources serve purpose, not habit. Watching spending habits also builds a habit of reflection. Daily or weekly reviews allow you to assess decisions, learn from mistakes, and reinforce successful actions. Reflection transforms experience into insight. You begin to see how small adjustments compound over time. Choices that seem insignificant in the moment have far-reaching impact when observed consistently. Reflection creates understanding, and understanding guides better decisions, reducing regret and enhancing confidence. Being vigilant about spending also encourages creativity. When resources are limited, careful observation pushes you to find solutions that maximize value. You learn to make the most of what you have. You explore alternative approaches, better options, or smarter investments. Creativity in spending not only prevents waste, but also enhances opportunities. The money you save or redirect creates potential that was invisible before. Observation turns limitation into possibility. Consistency is crucial. Watching spending habits once or twice is not enough. True change comes from persistent attention and evaluation. Daily mindfulness about where money goes reinforces discipline and strengthens judgment. Over time, consistent observation transforms habits into character traits. It builds a strong foundation for financial intelligence and personal growth. Each decision becomes a conscious act of alignment with goals, values, and long-term well-being. Tracking and adjusting spending also improves flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and expenses fluctuate. By understanding your habits and maintaining awareness, you can respond effectively to changes.
Unexpected costs become manageable rather than overwhelming. Observation and adaptability create a sense of control that reduces anxiety and strengthens confidence. Financial intelligence is not just about earning more, it is about responding wisely to life's challenges. Spending habits affect relationships as well. Careless spending can lead to tension with partners, family, or colleagues. Being mindful ensures that financial decisions do not create conflict. It fosters trust, respect, and collaboration. Financial clarity contributes to stronger bonds and healthier communication. Awareness of spending habits allows you to act responsibly in both personal and shared contexts, protecting peace and promoting stability in relationships. Watching your spending also strengthens accountability to yourself. You develop integrity by making choices aligned with your values. Self-trust grows when actions reflect priorities. Each deliberate decision reinforces confidence, and confidence reinforces responsible action. Regret diminishes because you are taking ownership of both present choices and future outcomes. Self-respect grows alongside financial awareness. Observation of habits highlights opportunities for growth. Some expenses, when adjusted or eliminated, create new potential. Savings can fund education, investments, or experiences that enhance skills and life satisfaction. Mindful observation turns everyday choices into stepping stones for growth. Each adjustment in spending becomes a decision that adds to opportunity rather than subtracting from it. Opportunity emerges from careful attention to habits. The practice of watching spending also teaches delayed gratification. Choosing to wait, to analyze, and to prioritize builds patience and strengthens character. Immediate desires no longer dominate decisions. You learn to evaluate the long-term impact of each choice. Delayed gratification produces not just financial benefit, but emotional resilience, strategic thinking, and personal empowerment. Each conscious choice reinforces the ability to act in alignment with goals rather than impulses. Ultimately, watching spending habits is about freedom. True financial freedom is not about having endless money, it is about control, clarity, and alignment. By observing and adjusting spending, you prevent regret, build confidence, and create opportunity. You take charge of your life rather than reacting to circumstances. Mindful spending transforms each decision into a deliberate step toward growth, security, and peace. You gain clarity over your life, your resources, and your future.
Chapter 6. Challenge your fear of debt to take smart action. Fear is one of the strongest forces that can control a person's life, and nowhere is it more powerful than in finances. Debt has a way of generating fear unlike anything else. It whispers doubt in the quiet moments, grows louder when opportunities arise, and can freeze even the most capable people into inaction. People avoid debt conversations, ignore balances, and delay decisions because fear convinces them that confronting it will be painful. But the truth is, fear is only as powerful as you allow it to be. The first step to mastering debt is not avoiding it. It is challenging the fear that comes with it and taking intelligent action instead. The fear of debt often stems from past experiences or stories people hear growing up. It can manifest as anxiety, hesitation, or even shame. Some feel that debt defines their worth, that owing money makes them failures. This perspective is limiting and inaccurate. Debt in itself is not the enemy. It is the way it is managed or mismanaged that determines its impact on life. Understanding this is essential because once you separate the emotion from the reality, you can start making deliberate, rational decisions instead of being driven by fear. The first step in challenging fear is awareness. Acknowledge the fear openly and honestly. Identify what exactly about debt scares you. Is it the thought of owing money forever? Is it the pressure of monthly payments? Or is it the worry that you will never achieve financial freedom? Naming the fear allows you to see it clearly. Fear thrives in the shadows. The more you shine light on it, the less intimidating it becomes. Awareness creates a foundation for action and removes the paralysis that often accompanies uncertainty. Once fear is acknowledged, the next step is education. Knowledge reduces anxiety and empowers you to act. Understand the structure of your debt, the balances, interest rates, payment schedules, and any penalties. The more familiar you are with the details, the more confident you become in handling them. Ignorance amplifies fear because the unknown is always larger in the mind than reality. Learning about your financial obligations transforms debt from an abstract threat into a manageable challenge. With clarity comes courage, and courage fuels smart action. Breaking the problem into manageable steps is also crucial. Fear grows when people look at the total sum of what they owe. Seeing an entire balance at once can feel overwhelming, like an impossible mountain to climb. Instead, divide the debt into small, actionable portions. Focus on what can be handled today, this week, or this month. Each small repayment becomes a victory, and victories diminish fear. Action reduces anxiety. Momentum builds and confidence grows. By approaching debt in steps, fear loses its ability to paralyze you. Challenging fear also involves confronting avoidance. Many people avoid thinking about debt because it triggers discomfort. Bills are ignored, statements unopened, and reminders dismissed. Avoidance only increases anxiety over time. The longer you ignore the problem, the more it grows in your mind, becoming distorted and more intimidating than it actually is. Confronting debt directly, reviewing statements, and creating a plan are acts of empowerment. Each act of confrontation weakens fear and replaces it with control. Understanding the difference between rational and irrational fear is essential. Some fear is legitimate. It is a signal to act carefully, to plan thoughtfully, and to avoid unnecessary risk. But irrational fear exaggerates consequences, paralyzes action, and prevents growth. Challenging fear requires recognizing this difference. Rational fear informs strategy. Irrational fear inhibits progress. Once this distinction is clear, you can use fear as a tool rather than a barrier. It becomes a guide, directing attention to important decisions without controlling emotions. Another key aspect is mindset. Fear thrives on the belief that debt is permanent and overwhelming. Reframing debt as a tool, a temporary obligation, and a manageable part of life changes the narrative. Debt can be used strategically to create opportunities, build assets, or invest in growth. Seeing it this way transforms fear into focus. It replaces anxiety with problem solving. When you shift your perspective, you see solutions instead of limitations and opportunities instead of threats. Mindset is the bridge between fear and action. Taking action also builds resilience. The first steps are often the hardest. Picking up a statement, calculating a budget, or making a repayment feels challenging because fear is active, but with each step resilience grows. You prove to yourself that fear does not control your choices. Action diminishes anxiety and increases self-confidence. It demonstrates that debt is manageable when approached intentionally. This resilience transfers to other areas of life, reinforcing the idea that fear can be confronted in any context with planning and discipline. Planning strategically is essential when challenging fear. Smart action is not about paying off everything at once or making rash decisions. It is about prioritizing obligations, scheduling manageable payments, and creating a system that produces consistent results. A plan provides structure and reduces uncertainty, which are the primary sources of anxiety. When fear is met with a clear roadmap, it loses power. The mind feels safe, focused, and capable of making progress.
Strategy transforms emotion into constructive action. Financial support and accountability also play a role. Fear is amplified when facing challenges alone. Sharing plans with trusted mentors, advisors, or partners can provide guidance and reassurance. Accountability ensures follow-through and reduces the temptation to ignore obligation. Discussing challenges allows perspective, feedback, and encouragement. Fear diminishes when responsibility is shared, not because someone else takes it away, but because clarity and support strengthen resolve. Community and guidance make confronting debt less intimidating. Fear often stems from uncertainty about the future. People worry about whether they will have enough, whether they will fail, or whether circumstances will change. Preparing for uncertainty through emergency funds, realistic budgeting, and scenario planning alleviates anxiety. When you know that you have a buffer and a plan, fear loses its edge. Confidence grows, and decisions are guided by logic rather than emotion. Planning for unknowns transforms fear from a threat into a manageable variable. Challenging fear also requires discipline in behavior. Avoid impulsive borrowing, unnecessary spending, or ignoring payments. Each intentional decision reinforces control. Discipline is the antidote to anxiety. The more consistent you are, the more predictable outcomes become, and predictability reduces fear. Each repetition of deliberate action strengthens self-trust and diminishes worry. Behavior shapes mindset. By acting responsibly, you teach your mind that debt is manageable and that fear is temporary. Awareness of long-term consequences strengthens motivation. Fear is often rooted in imagining the worst-case scenario without a plan. By calculating realistic outcomes, understanding obligations, and projecting future cash flow, you create confidence. Knowledge replaces imagined catastrophe with practical steps. Understanding what needs to be done and when provides clarity. Fear shrinks because the situation is no longer abstract. It is defined, organized, and solvable. Mental clarity is a powerful tool against anxiety. Emotional reframing is critical. Debt should not trigger shame or guilt. Instead, it should motivate action. Shame immobilizes, action liberates. Treating obligations as challenges rather than punishments encourages engagement rather than avoidance. Each step forward, no matter how small, reduces fear and increases mastery. Confidence grows with action, and momentum builds as fear diminishes. The psychological shift is transformative, from reactive avoidance to proactive management. Visualization of success is another method. Imagine yourself handling debt effectively, paying balances on time, and maintaining control over your finances. Picture the freedom and confidence that come with each repayment. Visualization aligns emotions with action. It reduces fear by creating a mental template of success. The brain begins to focus on solutions rather than obstacles. Mental rehearsal reinforces capability and courage. Challenging fear also involves accepting risk. Some level of risk is unavoidable in financial decisions. Avoiding debt entirely out of fear may limit opportunities to invest in education, business, or personal growth. Intelligent risk-taking, guided by planning and knowledge, turns potential fear into opportunity. Accepting manageable risk with strategy empowers decision-making and fosters confidence. Fear becomes a signal to plan carefully, not a reason to avoid action entirely. Finally, the consistent practice of confronting fear transforms character. Every step taken against anxiety strengthens resilience, clarity, and confidence. Debt becomes a manageable challenge rather than an overwhelming threat. The mind learns to process problems calmly, act intentionally, and remain focused under pressure. Each repayment, each budget review, each strategic decision is a victory over fear. Over time, this practice develops a mindset of courage and competence. Fear is no longer a roadblock, it is a guide pointing to action. Smart action in the face of fear leads to growth. You learn to make deliberate choices, to prioritize effectively, and to manage resources wisely. You gain emotional stability, mental clarity, and financial control. Fear becomes an indicator, not a dictator. Challenging it daily builds momentum that compounds into lifelong skill, shaping the way you approach challenges far beyond finance. It transforms hesitation into opportunity, paralysis into movement, and anxiety into empowerment. Ultimately, confronting fear of debt is a practice in self-mastery. It is a commitment to honesty, knowledge, discipline, and strategic action. Fear loses power when met with preparation and clarity. Each step taken builds confidence, reduces anxiety, and strengthens your ability to make intelligent choices. Debt, when approached with courage, becomes manageable. Fear becomes temporary. Action becomes enduring. Each challenge faced reinforces the truth that control, clarity, and empowerment are available to anyone willing to confront fear and act with purpose.
Chapter 7. Plan payments around your life goals, not deadlines. Most people approach debt the wrong way. They look at deadlines and due dates and feel pressured to make payments on a schedule that is set by someone else. Banks, lenders, and institutions dictate the calendar, and people follow it like a strict rule without thinking about the bigger picture. This approach causes stress, anxiety, and a sense of being trapped. Living your life according to deadlines instead of priorities creates tension. It forces you to react instead of plan. The key to mastering debt is not simply meeting deadlines. It is aligning your payments with your life goals. When payments serve your ambitions, debt becomes a tool rather than a burden. The first step is clarity. Know exactly what your goals are. What do you want your life to look like in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? Goals provide direction, purpose, and motivation. They create a framework for decision-making. Once you know what you are working toward, payments take on new meaning. They are no longer arbitrary obligations. They are steps along a path to a future you desire. Each repayment becomes intentional. It becomes part of a strategy to secure your vision rather than a reaction to external schedules. Understanding priorities is critical. Not all debts are equal, and not all deadlines carry the same weight in your life. Some payments may have more immediate consequences, such as housing or essential utilities, while others are less urgent. By evaluating each obligation through the lens of your goals, you can make decisions that protect your future and enhance your growth. Aligning payments with life priorities allows you to focus energy and resources on the areas that matter most. It turns money management into a tool for personal development rather than a source of anxiety. Strategic planning is essential. Create a payment plan that reflects your income, your ambitions, and your responsibilities. Consider when you are most able to make contributions, when funds will be available, and how each payment impacts your overall goals. By designing a plan around your life, you gain flexibility, control, and foresight. You reduce the mental pressure that comes from blindly following arbitrary deadlines. Life becomes more predictable, and each decision aligns with your vision. Payment schedules transform from constraints into a framework for opportunity. Discipline plays a crucial role in this process. Planning payments around goals does not mean avoiding responsibility. It requires intentional choices, self-control, and follow-through. You cannot simply postpone obligations or ignore them because they conflict with your desire. Instead, you structure repayments in a way that supports your long-term ambitions while fulfilling commitments. Discipline ensures consistency and reliability. It strengthens confidence and reinforces the belief that financial challenges can be handled thoughtfully. Viewing payments through the lens of your goals also increases motivation. Meeting a deadline can feel like an obligation, but making a payment that moves you closer to your dream generates excitement and purpose. Motivation comes from seeing progress towards something meaningful rather than simply avoiding penalties or late fees. Every action becomes empowering because it has significance. You are not merely reacting to the demands of lenders, you are creating forward momentum in your life. Each repayment reinforces your agency, clarity, and intentionality. Flexibility is another benefit of this approach. Life is unpredictable, and circumstances change. Unexpected expenses, opportunities, or shifts in income can make rigid schedules stressful. Planning payments around goals allows for adaptation. You can allocate resources in a way that maintains momentum toward objectives while accommodating the realities of daily life. Flexibility reduces stress, enhances creativity, and strengthens resilience. It transforms debt from a source of pressure into a framework for deliberate action. This approach also builds awareness. By aligning payments with goals, you gain insight into your financial habits, spending patterns, and priorities. You begin to see which areas consume resources unnecessarily and which areas generate the most value. Awareness allows for adjustments, corrections, and improvements. You can optimize payments to reduce costs, increase efficiency, and accelerate progress. Observation becomes a tool for empowerment, ensuring that each decision supports long-term aspirations rather than temporary obligations. Accountability is strengthened when payments are tied to life goals. Tracking progress against personal objectives rather than arbitrary deadlines creates a clear measure of success. You can see tangible results and celebrate accomplishments. Each successful step builds confidence, reinforces good habits, and encourages consistent action. Accountability shifts from external enforcement to internal motivation. You no longer rely on fear of penalties to act. You are driven by commitment to your vision. Planning payments around goals also strengthens decision-making skill. When evaluating options, you consider how each choice impacts your larger ambitions. Should a particular debt be accelerated, delayed, or restructured? Does a purchase support your objectives or detract from them? These questions encourage critical thinking, foresight, and strategic planning. Each decision becomes an opportunity to refine judgment, practice discipline, and strengthen alignment with your priorities. Financial management becomes a reflection of personal growth and intentional living. Stress is reduced through this approach. Following arbitrary deadlines often generates unnecessary anxiety, creating pressure that interferes with focus, productivity, and well-being. Aligning payments with your goals removes unnecessary tension. You act with purpose rather than fear. You anticipate challenges, plan for contingencies, and maintain control. The mental clarity gained from structured, goal-oriented payments enhances every area of life, from work to relationships, health, and personal development. Peace of mind becomes a natural outcome. Visualization enhances this practice. Imagine each payment as a building block toward the life you want. See yourself achieving milestones, reducing debt strategically, and creating a foundation for growth. Visualization transforms action into motivation, making each repayment a meaningful step. Your mind begins to focus on opportunity rather than obligation. Motivation grows because every choice has purpose, and every step reinforces progress toward the life you envision. This approach also strengthens long-term perspective. Deadlines are temporary. Goals are enduring. Planning around objectives encourages thinking beyond immediate pressure to consider consequences, benefits, and opportunities over months and years. Long-term focus ensures that each action compounds value rather than providing only temporary relief. Financial decisions become strategic rather than reactive, creating a trajectory toward freedom, security, and personal fulfillment. Habits form naturally when payments are tied to goals. Intentionality becomes routine. Each month, consistent action reinforces discipline, builds reliability, and strengthens confidence. Habits reduce stress because actions are predictable and aligned with purpose. Over time, goal-based payment habits
create a strong foundation for both financial security and personal growth. Discipline becomes second nature, enabling greater focus on opportunities rather than problems. Behavioral awareness is enhanced as well. Aligning payments with goals requires mindfulness of choices, income, and expenditure. You must evaluate priorities constantly and adjust as circumstances change. This practice develops sharp financial instincts, strategic thinking, and foresight. Observation and reflection allow you to make better choices, avoid mistakes, and maximize resources. Each deliberate decision reinforces control and reduces the likelihood of future regret. Financial freedom is accelerated when payments support goals rather than deadlines. Each step becomes part of a coherent plan, producing tangible results. Momentum builds as you see progress toward meaningful outcomes, reinforcing motivation and confidence. Debt becomes manageable, energy is preserved, and focus remains on growth rather than survival. By viewing obligations as steps toward your vision, rather than arbitrary deadlines, you reclaim control over time, energy, and resources. Risk management improves as well. Planning payments around life priorities allows you to identify potential obstacles and allocate resources proactively. Contingencies are prepared for, opportunities are seized, and stress is minimized. Each decision is intentional, ensuring that obligations are met without compromising goals. Strategic planning reduces exposure to unforeseen challenges and builds confidence in managing financial responsibilities effectively. This approach also strengthens self-trust. Each intentional payment demonstrates reliability, discipline, and foresight. Trust in yourself grows because actions consistently reflect priorities and values. Fear of mismanagement decreases, confidence in judgment increases, and independence flourishes. Self-trust is reinforced as you see tangible progress, resulting from deliberate choices. The psychological effect of aligning payments with goals extends far beyond finances, shaping character, decision-making, and life strategy. Education and awareness are enhanced through this method. Regularly reviewing progress toward goals and evaluating payment strategies increases understanding of financial management, opportunity costs, and prioritization. Knowledge empowers better choices, strengthens confidence, and reduces fear of mistake. Continuous learning from real-life experiences refines judgment, improves planning, and ensures that each action contributes to overall growth, rather than merely fulfilling obligations. Goal-oriented planning also reinforces vision. Every payment made with intention supports broader aspirations, rather than simply meeting a short-term deadline. This creates a sense of purpose, direction, and alignment. Each decision reinforces clarity about what truly matters, ensuring that resources are allocated efficiently and effectively. Vision becomes tangible through daily actions, creating a feedback loop where strategy, discipline, and progress reinforce each other. Finally, aligning payments with life goals transforms your relationship with money and debt. Payments are no longer a source of stress, obligation, or fear. They become deliberate steps toward freedom, growth, and personal fulfillment. Each choice reflects intention rather than reaction, strategy rather than pressure, and purpose rather than compliance. Debt becomes a tool for achieving life objectives, rather than a constraint on opportunity. The practice of aligning payments with goals creates a foundation for financial mastery, personal growth, and lasting peace of mind.
Chapter 8. Leverage loans to create security instead of adding stress. Loans are often feared because people view them as chains rather than tools. They see debt as something that constrains, limits, and traps them. They feel trapped by interest rates, monthly payments, and obligations they barely understand. But this perception is incomplete. Loans themselves are neutral. They do not create stress unless mismanaged. When used strategically, loans can actually build security, provide stability, and create opportunities that would otherwise be out of reach. The difference lies entirely in mindset, planning and intentional action. To leverage loans effectively, one must approach them as instruments for empowerment rather than burdens. The first step in using loans to create security is clarity of purpose. Borrowing without a plan is like walking into a storm without direction. You may move, but you won't move efficiently. You need to know exactly what the loan is for, why it is necessary, and how it will strengthen your life. Will it protect your family from unexpected emergencies? Will it provide resources to invest in your future? Will it allow you to acquire something that increases stability or income? Understanding the purpose transforms borrowed money from a source of anxiety into a tool for security. Budgeting comes next. A loan, no matter how large, cannot provide peace if it is unmanaged. Payments must be incorporated into a realistic, actionable budget. Know what you earn, what you spend, and how the loan fits into your monthly obligations. By integrating repayments into your financial plan, you prevent surprises, late fees, and stress. Budgeting does not restrict opportunity, it amplifies control. It ensures that borrowed money enhances stability rather than creating chaos. Clear budgets turn fear into confidence, giving you a roadmap for repayment and long-term security. Interest rates and terms must be understood. Many people sign loan agreements without reading them, or they focus only on immediate needs rather than long-term consequences. Knowing exactly how much a loan costs, the repayment schedule, and potential penalties allows you to make informed decisions. This knowledge reduces anxiety because you are no longer guessing. You are in control. By choosing loans with terms that match your capacity to repay, you reduce stress and create a sense of predictability. Predictability breeds security, and security breeds peace of mind. Strategic allocation is key. Not every loan should be used for consumption or short-term wants. The most effective loans are those that protect against risk, generate income, or build assets. Using a loan to buy something that will maintain or increase value over time creates financial leverage. Borrowed money should be invested where it multiplies rather than dissipates. Each decision must be evaluated for its ability to strengthen security rather than simply satisfy immediate desires. Strategic use of loans yields a sense of safety and prepares you for unexpected challenges. Emergency planning is part of leveraging loans effectively. Security is not only about stability today, it is about preparing for tomorrow. Loans can be used to create emergency funds, establish reserves, or cover essential risks. When borrowed money is allocated to protection, it reduces vulnerability. Unexpected events, medical expenses, urgent repairs or income interruptions become manageable rather than catastrophic. Planning for emergencies ensures that debt becomes a buffer against chaos rather than a source of additional stress. Loans become a protective shield rather than a liability. Discipline in repayment strengthens security. Borrowing strategically is only part of the process. Fulfilling obligations consistently is equally important. Establishing automatic payments, tracking deadlines, and monitoring balances reduces the risk of late fees, penalties, and stress. Repayment discipline reinforces confidence, builds credibility, and ensures that the loan serves its intended purpose. Each timely payment enhances trust in yourself, your plan, and your financial future. Discipline turns borrowed money into a tool for stability rather than a source of anxiety. Understanding risk is critical. All loans carry some risk, but calculated risk produces growth and security. Blind borrowing creates uncertainty, but strategic borrowing provides opportunity. Evaluate the potential downside of each loan and determine whether the benefits outweigh the costs. By understanding the risks and implementing safeguards, you create a controlled environment where borrowed money strengthens your position rather than threatening it. Knowledge transforms fear into informed action, and transforms loans into instruments of safety. Visualization of outcomes enhances strategic borrowing. Picture how using the loan effectively will impact your life. Imagine emergencies being covered without panic. Imagine investments generating income and building wealth. Picture how each payment reinforces security rather than diminishes it. Visualization creates clarity, strengthens motivation and aligns your actions with long-term objectives. Seeing success before it happens turns borrowed money into a powerful ally instead of a looming threat. Focus on value rather than quantity. A large loan does not automatically create security, and a small loan can be transformative. The goal is not to accumulate debt, but to use it intelligently. Borrow only what is necessary for the opportunity or protection that matters most. Avoid unnecessary expenses and frivolous borrowing. Each borrowed dollar should serve a purpose, enhance stability, or create potential. When every decision has intention and direction, loans work for you rather than against you. Communication is another important factor. If loans involve family or business partners, transparency reduces stress. Clear agreements, mutual understanding and shared expectations prevent misunderstandings and conflict. Open discussion about repayment plans, obligations and objectives ensures that all parties are aligned. This transparency strengthens confidence, reduces emotional tension, and allows borrowed money to function as a stabilizing force. Security is as much psychological as it is financial, and clear communication reinforces both. Monitoring progress consistently is essential. Loans must be actively managed to ensure they remain advantageous. Track balances, payment history and changes in circumstances. Adjust plans if income fluctuates or unexpected events occur. Active management prevents surprises and reduces anxiety. It allows you to make small corrections before problems escalate. Borrowed money becomes a tool that reinforces confidence and creates measurable security, rather than a source of hidden stress. Leverage also involves timing. Borrowed money should be used when it can maximize protection or generate benefits. Acting prematurely or impulsively often creates unnecessary stress. Strategic timing ensures that each dollar borrowed produces the greatest impact, whether covering essential costs, investing in opportunities, or protecting against risk. Timing transforms loans from obligations into instruments that strengthen your life. Every action becomes deliberate, measured and aligned with long-term stability. Mindset is everything. Viewing loans as enemies generates anxiety, limits opportunity, and increases stress. Viewing loans as tools with potential transforms fear into action. Borrowed money can provide safety, opportunity, and growth when approached with discipline, strategy, and focus. The right mindset creates confidence, reduces worry, and fosters resilience. Loans cease to feel threatening when they are understood and purposefully managed. They become allies in building security, rather than obstacles to overcome. Flexibility enhances the power of loan. Life is unpredictable, and circumstances change. Strategic loans provide breathing room, creating options when unexpected challenges arise. Flexibility allows for adjustments without panic. When borrowed money is part of a structured plan, you can respond to shifts in income, emergencies or opportunities without jeopardizing stability. Loans become a mechanism to maintain control in uncertainty rather than a source of fear. Education ensures long-term benefit. Understanding loan types, interest structures, repayment schedules, and financial strategies provides the tools to leverage borrowed money effectively. Knowledge empowers intelligent decisions, minimizes risk, and maximizes security. Without education, loans can become trapped. With it, they become tools for opportunity, stability, and growth. Continuous learning about financial management strengthens confidence and reduces anxiety about borrowing. Each decision is informed, intentional, and advantageous. Leveraging loans successfully also involves forward thinking. Consider future obligations,
opportunities, and risks before borrowing. Strategic planning ensures that current decisions do not create stress later. Anticipating potential scenarios allows for preparation, reduces fear, and strengthens resilience. Borrowed money, when used with foresight, provides a foundation for both immediate stability and long-term security. Proactive thinking transforms loans from a source of worry into a pathway for opportunity. Each responsible decision builds credibility. Repaying on time, borrowing strategically, and managing funds effectively strengthens reputation, trust, and financial freedom. This credibility creates additional options for future borrowing or investment. Loans, managed responsibly, become a springboard rather than a constraint. The sense of security grows as confidence in your ability to handle obligations increases. Responsibility turns borrowed money into leverage for growth rather than a source of anxiety. Finally, leveraging loans for security requires consistency. Every payment, every strategic allocation, and every monitoring action reinforces stability. Over time, the practice compounds, creating a life where financial obligations no longer dominate attention. Stress diminishes, confidence rises, and opportunities expand. Borrowed money becomes an ally in building a secure, resilient, and empowered life. Loans do not add stress when used intentionally. They provide structure, safety, and leverage to strengthen every aspect of your life.
Chapter 9. Notice hidden fees to stop money from slipping away. Money is a tool, but it is also fragile. Every dollar you earn is valuable, yet most people allow small hidden fees to drain it slowly over time without even noticing. These fees are subtle, quiet, and persistent. They appear in banking statements, loan agreements, credit card bills, and service contracts. They are rarely obvious, yet they accumulate relentlessly. People often feel frustrated, thinking they work hard but never get ahead. The truth is that much of this frustration comes from overlooking these hidden costs. Observing them closely is one of the most powerful steps toward financial control, freedom, and peace of mind. The first step is awareness. Look at every financial document carefully. Understand exactly what you are being charged, when it is being charged, and why. Most people skim statements or sign agreements without reading the fine print. Ignorance is costly. Hidden fees are often buried in complicated language or small print, but they matter. When you take the time to notice them, you gain power over your finances. Awareness creates clarity. Clarity transforms confusion and anxiety into confidence and control. Next comes understanding. Not all fees are avoidable, but many are. Late fees, processing fees, administrative costs, and service charges often go unnoticed until they pile up. By identifying them, you can make intentional decisions to reduce or eliminate them. This requires curiosity, attention, and patience. People who succeed financially treat this as a priority. They investigate, question, and negotiate whenever possible. Understanding fees allows you to see where your money is slipping away unnecessarily and gives you options to reclaim it. Mindset plays a crucial role. Hidden fees thrive on inattention. They succeed because people accept them as inevitable or unchangeable. Changing this mindset is empowering. View fees as challenges to overcome rather than unavoidable obstacles. Treat every hidden cost as an opportunity to learn, improve habits, and gain control. This perspective transforms frustration into motivation and helplessness into action. You begin to see that financial mastery is not about avoiding responsibility, but about becoming vigilant and proactive. Action is essential. Once you owe fees, take steps to eliminate or reduce them. Set reminders for payments to avoid late fees. Review loan agreements for clauses that can be renegotiated. Question service providers when charges seem unclear or unfair. Small adjustments can save significant amounts over time. Each action reinforces control and diminishes financial leakage. The more you act deliberately, the less power hidden fees have over your life. Action turns observation into results. Tracking is another critical element. Create a system to monitor fees regularly. Keep a record of recurring charges, one-time costs, and any adjustments. Tracking ensures that you notice patterns and identify opportunities for improvement. It also helps you anticipate costs in advance, rather than reacting after the fact. The simple act of recording and reviewing finances cultivates discipline and awareness. Over time, this practice builds confidence and strengthens the ability to manage money effectively. Hidden fees are often psychological traps. They take advantage of human habits, inattention, and assumption. People assume that everything is as it appears on a statement, or that small charges are insignificant, yet cumulative effects are enormous. Recognizing this psychological aspect empowers you to be intentional. You begin to approach money with respect, attentiveness, and careful evaluation. Small conscious decisions prevent slow erosion of resources and reinforce a sense of agency. Prioritization is key. Some fees are minor, some are substantial. Knowing which ones have the greatest impact allows you to focus energy effectively. Address the most costly or recurring fees first. Negotiate or eliminate them where possible. Then move to less significant charges. By prioritizing strategically, you maximize results and reduce financial stress. Each small victory reinforces confidence, motivation, and a sense of control. Financial awareness becomes a habit, and habits compound into lasting security. Education is also essential. Understanding how fees work, why they exist, and what options are available is empowering. Knowledge reduces fear, enhances strategy, and enables negotiation. People who educate themselves about financial systems, loan structures, and service charges make smarter decisions. They prevent unnecessary costs and turn potential losses into opportunities for saving or investing. Every insight gained strengthens the ability to maintain control and safeguard resources. Negotiation is a powerful tool. Many hidden fees are not set in stone. Banks, credit providers, and service companies often allow adjustments when approached respectively and strategically. Asking for reductions, waivers, or alternative terms can save hundreds or thousands of dollars over time. Negotiation requires confidence, preparation, and persistence. It transforms passive acceptance into active empowerment. Each successful negotiation reinforces financial competence and diminishes the anxiety caused by unseen costs. Discipline complements awareness. Avoid impulse spending or reactive decisions that lead to additional fees. Automatic payments, reminders, and careful scheduling prevent unnecessary charges. Discipline ensures consistency and reliability, which reduces exposure to avoidable costs. Over time, disciplined habits reinforce stability, confidence, and clarity. People who master discipline in their financial practices gain a sense of safety and security that extends beyond money. Observation develops foresight. By noticing patterns in hidden fees, you can anticipate future costs and adjust behavior accordingly. This proactive approach prevents surprises and builds confidence. You can plan for expenses, allocate resources strategically, and avoid unnecessary stress. Foresight allows financial decision-making to be deliberate rather than reactive. You learn to identify warning signs, make adjustments, and maintain control over your resources. This reduces reliance on external reminders or fear of mistakes. Accountability reinforces discipline and motivates consistent action. When you take responsibility for noticing hidden fees, you reclaim control over money that otherwise slips away unnoticed.
Flexibility is enhanced when fees are identified early. By noticing potential costs, you can make adjustments before they become burdensome. Changing payment dates, switching providers or negotiating terms provides options. Flexibility reduces stress and increases confidence. You are no longer at the mercy of unseen charges. Instead, you respond proactively. Each adjustment creates stability and preserves financial resources. Hidden fees also affect mindset and emotional well-being. Unnoticed, they lead to frustration, doubt, and a sense of helplessness. Observing, understanding, and addressing fees reduces these negative emotions. Financial clarity generates calm, confidence, and peace of mind. You feel in control rather than trapped. Mindset shifts from reactive frustration to proactive strategy, allowing money to serve your goals instead of creating anxiety. Reflection is critical. Regularly reviewing expenses, fees, and adjustments creates insight. You learn which patterns lead to losses and which strategies generate savings. Reflection enhances judgment, strengthens discipline, and reinforces habits that prevent unnecessary leakage. By understanding past decisions, you make better future choices. Continuous improvement ensures that hidden fees do not become recurring problems and that financial progress is maintained. Creativity emerges as a result. By noticing fees, you discover ways to optimize resources. Consolidating services, finding alternatives, and leveraging tools for efficiency become second nature. Creative approaches reduce unnecessary charges and enhance financial control. Each innovation strengthens confidence and expands opportunity. Observation fosters ingenuity, turning potential losses into gains through intentional planning. Long-term perspective is developed when hidden fees are managed. Each small charge avoided compounds into substantial savings over time. Preventing loss today creates freedom tomorrow. Awareness cultivates patience, strategic thinking, and intentionality. People who master this skill understand that financial security is built gradually through consistent attention to detail rather than through chance. Each conscious choice contributes to long-term stability. Education, strategy, and observation create a sense of empowerment. Noticing hidden fees transforms inaction into action. Each decision, adjustment, and insight reinforces competence. You gain control over what may have seemed uncontrollable. Empowerment is the natural result of taking charge, acting intentionally, and preventing resources from slipping away. Financial mastery grows as vigilance becomes habitual, creating a life of stability, confidence, and opportunity. Finally, attention to hidden fees is a practice in self-respect. Every dollar preserved reflects discipline, intentionality, and value placed on effort. Observing small charges honors hard work and reinforces purpose. Each correction, adjustment, and strategic action demonstrates respect for oneself and for the life being built. Over time, these practices compound, creating not only financial security, but also peace, confidence, and freedom. Hidden fees no longer dominate attention because they are acknowledged, managed, and neutralized through awareness and action. By practicing vigilance, tracking, negotiation, and discipline, money stops slipping away unnoticed. Every decision becomes meaningful, every action reinforces control, and every saved dollar contributes to opportunity. Awareness turns small hidden costs into a source of learning, empowerment, and growth. Each step builds confidence, reduces stress, and strengthens the foundation for long-term security. Mastering this skill transforms not only finances, but also mindset, habits, and the ability to thrive under challenge.
Chapter 10. Turn repayment discipline into a habit that empowers you. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. When it comes to debt, discipline is not just about paying on time. It is about creating a habit that strengthens your confidence, control, and freedom. Repayment is often seen as a burden, a task to be endured rather than a skill to be mastered. But discipline transforms this perception. Each payment, each intentional step, reinforces the belief that you are capable of managing your life effectively. Habit turns action into automatic progress. By developing repayment discipline, you create a system where money serves your life instead of controlling it. The first step is mindset. View repayment not as punishment, but as empowerment. Each obligation fulfilled is evidence of your ability to take charge of circumstances, rather than being controlled by them. Many people delay payments or avoid responsibility out of fear or anxiety. They feel powerless in the face of deadlines, interest rates, and balances. This perspective keeps them trapped in cycles of stress. Changing your mindset to see repayment as a tool for building strength changes everything. Discipline becomes something you desire, not something you endure. Consistency is key. Habits are built through repeated action. The more consistently you follow a repayment schedule, the more natural it becomes. It shifts from a conscious effort to an instinctive behavior. Automaticity reduces mental energy, decreases anxiety, and increases reliability. When repayment becomes habitual, fear of debt diminishes because the behavior no longer depends on willpower alone. Each repeated act strengthens competence, confidence, and control. Discipline compounds over time, producing a cumulative effect that transforms financial stability into freedom. Planning reinforces habit. To maintain repayment discipline, create a system that aligns with your life and income patterns. Schedule payments on consistent dates, track balances, and allocate funds thoughtfully. A well-structured plan reduces the temptation to delay, eliminates surprises, and provides a clear roadmap for action. Planning makes discipline sustainable. It ensures that habit is not left to chance or memory, but is embedded in a framework that supports long-term consistency and reliability. Awareness strengthens habit. Monitor progress regularly to see the impact of your repayments. Tracking balances, observing improvements, and noting reductions in debt provides tangible feedback. This awareness is motivating. Seeing results reinforces behavior. People who fail to track progress often lose momentum because they cannot visualize achievement. Awareness keeps discipline alive and energizes the habit. It turns abstract obligations into measurable accomplishments, increasing satisfaction and reinforcing the desire to continue. Accountability enhances repayment discipline. Share goals with trusted individuals or mentors who can offer guidance, encouragement, and support. Accountability reduces the likelihood of missed payments and creates external reinforcement for internal habits. When someone else is aware of your objectives, it motivates adherence and increases focus. Accountability is not about pressure, it is about connection, encouragement, and reinforcement. It strengthens the habit by creating an environment that values reliability and intentional action. Focus on small, achievable steps. Discipline is not built overnight. Start with manageable amounts, consistent payments, and gradual progress. Each completed step reinforces the belief in your capability and develops confidence in your financial management skills. Small victories accumulate into larger achievements. People often fail because they attempt too much too soon. By starting with achievable actions, repayment becomes a habit that grows naturally and sustainably, empowering you over time. Preparation reduces resistance. Anticipate challenges that could disrupt your repayment habit. Identify potential distractions, income fluctuations, or unexpected expenses, and develop strategies to manage them. Preparation ensures that discipline is resilient. Habits thrive when obstacles are accounted for and solutions are ready. By foreseeing challenges, you prevent interruptions, maintain momentum, and reinforce the reliability of your repayment routine. Preparedness strengthens confidence and reduces anxiety. Behavioral reinforcement plays a significant role. Reward yourself for adherence to repayment schedules. Reinforcement does not mean indulgence, but recognition of progress. Each time you honor a payment, acknowledge the accomplishment. Psychological reinforcement strengthens neural pathways associated with discipline, making the habit more automatic. Celebrating consistency encourages continuation and embeds repayment as a natural, empowering part of life. Over time, behavior and mindset align, creating enduring strength and confidence. Flexibility must be integrated wisely. Discipline does not mean rigidity. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes adjustments are necessary. Temporary changes in schedules or amounts are acceptable when managed intentionally. Flexibility ensures that the habit remains sustainable rather than burdensome. It allows repayment to support life rather than interrupt it. When discipline is balanced with adaptability, habit becomes a source of empowerment instead of stress. Education amplifies the power of repayment habits. Understand interest rates, repayment terms, and financial principles so that each payment is intentional. Knowledge strengthens decision-making and reduces errors. People who understand the mechanics of their obligations experience less fear, more confidence, and greater control. Each informed action reinforces the habit of discipline, making repayment not just a routine, but a skill that produces tangible benefits and long-term stability. Visualization enhances consistency. Imagine yourself debt-free, confident, and in control because of the repayment habit you are building today. Visualizing success aligns your actions with long-term goals. It reinforces the importance of each payment and strengthens motivation. The mind begins to prioritize consistent behavior automatically, integrating discipline into your identity. Habit is no longer a forced action. It becomes a reflection of your character, commitment, and vision. Reflection is a critical part of habit formation. Regularly review your progress. Identify patterns and note improvements. Reflection reinforces awareness and learning. It allows adaptation of strategies to enhance efficiency and effectiveness. People who reflect consistently maintain momentum, prevent stagnation, and continuously strengthen their repayment habit. Reflection connects action to purpose, ensuring that discipline grows into empowerment rather than remaining a repetitive task. Persistence is necessary. Obstacles, unexpected expenses, and lapses are inevitable. Discipline is tested through challenge, and the habit is strengthened through persistence. Each time you resume consistent repayment after a disruption, you reinforce resilience. Persistence transforms temporary setbacks into learning experiences and strengthens the long-term habit. The more you persist, the more automatic and empowering the behavior becomes. Emotional regulation supports habit maintenance. Fear, stress, or frustration can derail repayment routines. Managing emotions ensures that decisions remain intentional rather than reactive. Habits rooted in calm, deliberate action are stronger and more sustainable. By maintaining emotional stability, repayment becomes a source of confidence rather than anxiety. Emotional control enhances focus, reduces mistakes, and embeds discipline into everyday life. Integration with broader goals enhances meaning. Repayment discipline should not exist in isolation. Connect it to personal aspirations, security, and freedom. When each payment supports life objectives, habit becomes meaningful. Motivation increases because action aligns with vision. Discipline is reinforced by purpose, and each step contributes to a sense of control, accomplishment, and empowerment. The habit of repayment becomes a cornerstone of personal growth and financial mastery. Accountability to oneself is equally powerful. Establish clear standards, track progress, and evaluate performance objectively. Self-accountability builds integrity and trust in your own abilities. Each consistent action reinforces confidence and self-respect. People who cultivate internal accountability develop habits that endure beyond external oversight. Discipline becomes a reflection of personal character, reinforcing identity, values, and commitment to growth. Flexibility
in methods enhances sustainability. Habits are strengthened when routines are adaptable to circumstances. Adjust timing, method, or structure of repayments as needed while maintaining consistency. This ensures that the habit is maintained despite external changes and remains a source of empowerment. Flexibility prevents burnout and maintains momentum over the long term. Focus on long-term outcomes reinforces habit. Immediate results may be small or imperceptible, but consistent discipline compounds over time. Each payment strengthens financial position, builds confidence, and produces tangible benefits. Long-term perspective sustains motivation and embeds habit into identity. Understanding that repayment today secures freedom tomorrow transforms each action from obligation into opportunity. Mentorship and learning accelerate progress. Seek guidance from those who have mastered financial discipline. Observing strategies, adopting effective habits, and applying proven techniques strengthens personal repayment routines. Mentorship provides insight, reinforces commitment, and reduces trial and error mistakes. Learning from others amplifies the speed and effectiveness of habit formation, making repayment a more empowering and natural part of life. Finally, turning repayment discipline into habit is about transformation. It is not just about managing money. It is about developing character, building confidence, and creating freedom. Each consistent action reinforces identity, competence, and self-trust. Habit becomes automatic, sustainable, and empowering. Debt no longer creates fear or stress. It becomes a structured path toward control, growth, and opportunity. Discipline evolves into strength, and habit becomes a foundation for success in all areas of life. Through mindset, planning, consistency, awareness, accountability, flexibility, education, and persistence, repayment transforms from a routine into a habit that empowers. Each action, reinforcement, and adjustment strengthens control, reduces anxiety, and builds confidence. Over time, the practice compounds into mastery. The habit of repayment becomes more than a financial tool. It becomes an expression of self-discipline, intentionality, and personal power. You gain control, freedom, and the ability to leverage every resource effectively, transforming obligations into opportunity and creating a life of security, growth, and confidence.